justice issue of our time.
Hi everybody,
This is the
we're
issue that
here at
exacerbates
Callister
all
Park,
existing social
just
issues.
as people are starting to gather,
The TMX
and
pipeline is only one
we'll
of
start
many
to listen
staggering
into
issues that
the
threaten all
intro
life
that's
on
being
Earth.
shared here
Canada
as
is
we gather.
representative of a hypocritical nation, preaching climate action and doing less than the bare minimum about it. We are headed for extinction as a species. Being here takes a lot of courage. So thank you so much to each and every one of you for making this action a priority in your day today. There is power in numbers. Okay, so Savannah is just gonna come over here and give us some reminders about COVID.
Safety first. We are here in a pandemic, so
We recognize
that's
that we are
really
in the midst of
important.
a devastating pandemic that has forever impacted and taken lives worldwide. This being said, this is not a social gathering. So long as the construction of TMX pipeline is considered an essential service, the rebellion against it is also considered essential. The defense of land is an essential service. The mitigation of the climate and ecological emergency is an essential service. If we don't rise up and hold our governments responsible, billions of people will starve. We care deeply for the health and safety of our community. With this being said, to partake in this action, we require that you wear a mask over your mouth and nose and maintain social distancing protocols. Hand sanitizer is available with me and anyone else wearing a yellow armband. Our police liaisons are wearing blue armbands and our media reps are wearing purple armbands. Please see them if you have questions about their roles. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm supposed to talk about Extinction Rebellion a bit and what we're about. So I just want to make clear this is my personal opinion what XR is supposed to be doing. And so just to give you some history, Extinction Rebellion was basically founded when 15 people in London decided to declare rebellion against the British government because they were basically shitting themselves. And the reason why they were shitting themselves is because 2 degrees of global average temperature is now locked in. And what that means, we hear that a lot, but what that really means is that in about 10 years we're going to have mass starvation and billions of people might starve to death regardless of what we do. So the only shot we have of actually doing something about the climate catastrophe is actually sitting down on the road and breaking the law. And so I'm going to talk a bit about arrests, and I'm going to make an argument for it because we don't really plan on having arrests for this action, but I think it's important to remember that without mass arrests we can't really do anything about what we're up against. And ideally what we need is around 3,000 people getting arrested and we need around 500 people in prison. And if we need some proof of this happening in the global north, an example of that is what was happening in the States a few months ago with Black Lives Matter. You saw 15,000 people getting arrested, and only then we had major legislation introduced to defund the police in some parts of the country. So what we're looking at is around 2,000 to 3,000 arrests nationwide in a matter of like 1 or 2 weeks if we want to do something. And there's a paradox here, and the paradox is that people who succeed with civil disobedience are usually people who don't really care about success. And when you don't stop caring about success, and when you start thinking about arrests not as a tactic but simply as a consequence of doing the right thing, that's when the miracle happens, and that's when we deserve to be a little hopeful. So on the 1st of May we're going to be going down to Victoria, and we're going to be having 300 to 500 arrests, and at least we'll try to do that. And I'm in a position where I'll be going down to Victoria regardless of whoever comes down, and I plan on getting arrested. So hopefully you can think about that.
So there's one of our XR
Hey everyone.
organizers.
I've been
about
told
the
we
theory
didn't
of
get
change.
the original land acknowledgement on the live stream, so I'm just going to reiterate. We need to acknowledge that we are on unceded, stolen, indigenous land, the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. Okay, so I'm going to talk about, sorry. Everyone can hear me, right? Yeah? Cool. Okay. So I'm just going to go over what our plan is for today, so everyone's aware how it's going to go down. We have a couple more talks, We're gonna rally for another 15, 20 minutes and get ready. Once everyone's ready, we're gonna take to the street right here, Renfrew. We're gonna walk up Renfrew, marching along the street. So we have lots of peace bearers in the reflective vests, and they're gonna make sure that we're not gonna get hit by cars. It's gonna be very safe. However, if you are uncomfortable, you can still walk on the sidewalk. But we encourage you to march on the streets with us. So once we'll get up to the top of Renfrew, and we'll turn right onto McGill. We'll walk for a little bit, and we'll reach the intersection of McGill and Commissioner, where there's an overpass into the port. And then we're gonna set up a blockade there. We've got lots of plants and awesome banners and stuff. It's gonna be pretty awesome. There's gonna be lots of speakers, and we're gonna hold that port for as long as we can, the whole afternoon. This port, we've talked about why TMX is bad. The reason this port is important, it's the largest port in Canada, and it's shipping in a lot of parts for TMX construction. So that's why we're targeting it today. I think we're gonna do a really awesome job, and I'm really excited to block this port with you guys. Woo!
So we're all on the same page as we go forth on this amazing afternoon of community building and action together. I'm going to read out what we call the Rebel Agreement. So if you don't agree with these agreements, you might be asked to leave, because we need to be here all on the same page, taking care of each other and being safe. All rebels are asked to follow our basic agreement. It provides the basis of trust so that both rebels and the public know what we can expect from each other. We show respect to everyone, to each other, the general public, and to the government and police. We engage in no violence, physical or verbal, and carry no weapons. We hold ourselves accountable for our actions, and we do not hide from the legal consequences. We bring no alcohol or illegal drugs. We take responsibility for ourselves. We are all crew. Like I said, we are here until the government acts on our 4 demands for necessary action on the climate and ecological emergency. This code aims to attract the wide variety of people that we need in order to achieve that. And anyone breaking these agreements might be asked to leave. Thank you for being here. I'm so stoked to see everybody. Woo!
I was going to say, I was asked to talk a bit about my experience with the court. I'm the elder at the Watch House, and I'm going to start talking about the case that's about to come up. First of all, we have a judge and a prosecutor absolutely white racists. You know,
talking about the court case that
but that's what was
he
handed
is
to us
currently
and what they
being
were taught.
prosecuted in,
And that's what we all face when we go in front
for
of the
standing
judge.
up for everybody
You know, she's looking at trying to get us back into jail, and
against this ecocidal pipeline.
my experience with jail the last time was I got spider bites, and I ended up in hospital after I got out, and it just about killed me.
This is an
I
Indigenous
found
elder that's
the
already
doctor
done jail
system
time
in the jails is just terrible. You have
for
to,
standing
you know,
peacefully against TMX.
you have to understand you're going to be about 3 days without your medicines all worked out. But I'm doing it's important. The charge that I'm up on next, I was actually that we knew they had contaminated soil and they were shipping it out, but we had no way of proving it. So we held this rally, and we had about 11 people at the blockade. But they came out and arrested only myself and only Stacy, and that's a selective arrest and selective prosecution. And we're the only 2 people at that rally that were Indigenous. So you have to shake your head on that one.
Seriously, shake your head on that one.
I just got to say, what we found in our process is that the appeal process is really geared to the rich, you know. It's geared to the petit bourgeois and the rich, and it you know, it was going to cost us. We thought we'd raise $5,000 and that would cover our first appeal. It's going to cost us $9,000 for the transcripts alone. So one of the things we're going to do is, I don't know if you know, in the last election we had a couple activist lawyers elected. Unfortunately for the NDP, but anyway, they were elected for the NDP, so we're going to try and go to them and David Eby and see if we can pass something to make appeals accessible to people who can't afford to pay for them. You know, so we're going to be trying to get petitions out for that. We're still going to be trying to do more fundraising, especially on my case where I was running a pipe ceremony and was, you know, arrested months later. You know, on the day we ran the pipe ceremony, the police came in and they joined us in the ceremony. So how do you justify a month later arresting us for holding that pipe ceremony? It's just, so that's what we're looking at. I applaud what you're doing, and I think, yeah, on one level, I think getting a lot of people arrested and filling the jails up might help them pay attention to what's going on, because, you know, for the most part, every now and then we have CBC or that shows up, but for the most part, the media has just turned their backs on us, you know, and we have to figure out how we get their attention. And the other thing we're doing with Mountain Protectors is we're building an electronic media system, and we have so we've got people working on that right now. And the other thing we're trying to do is we've got some UBC students who have as a practicum, they're supposed to be helping us in identifying how we do the research and how we get the information, because what we found in our surveillance was that we find something wrong, and the gas, the contaminated soil was a classic example. We find that there was something wrong with the soil, but we didn't know exactly how to prove it, how to make our way through that quagmire of energy board and oil industry. And I'm just gonna close thanking you guys for what you're doing, just reminding you as well that what we have here is the Spadina Expressway of oil delivery. You know what, Spadina Expressway, they paid a big fortune to build this expressway in Toronto, and they canceled the funding. So it was an expressway that went so far and it stopped. And now what we have is they're building all this stuff for the Afromax tankers, but Irving Oil did not get funding to develop the refinery in St. John's that they're supposed to be taking all these Afro tankers to. So they lost China. California wouldn't let them use that refinery. So their next plan was to go all the way along the Panama Canal with these Afro tankers up to St. John's and have it developed by Irving Oil. Well, the corporations, the investment corporation, said that this is not an acceptable risk, that the price of oil is dropping constantly, and that it's it's a sunset industry. We will not get our money back. So that oil refinery is not being redeveloped. So now we have oil. We have to find out where they're planning to send it. It's going to be shipped all the way to
If you're just joining us, folks, this
have,
is Jim, one of the Indigenous elders at the Watch House with Mountain Protectors that's sharing some comments with us.
Find out. It's one of the big questions we have to have right now is, what are you guys doing with that oil now? Now that Irving Refinery is gone,
What indeed? What is all this oil for when it's a sunset industry?
Just keep up this attitude.
Questions Jim is asking.
Our buddy Trudeau thinks he's going to hold a federal election soon. We need to let him know that this is not acceptable.
Can you guys hear? Can you guys hear the person on the mic?
We're going to have a petition out about the appeals as well, so hopefully we'll get that out to you guys to sign, endorsing our idea that poor people should have access to the court system.
And Jim is one of the Indigenous land protectors who's been targeted by the police and the prosecutors here for sitting peacefully in ceremony against the Trans Mountain Pipeline.
Everything's a stopgap measure during COVID.
Thank you so much, Jim.
And so the more
Just
that you
put a
guys
lot
can
on the line
support
for this project,
Jim
in a way
and
that
Stacy,
most of us can't even imagine.
the better, because they're
A lot of
still
the
facing
charges
serious
that are
jail
facing
time.
These folks are disproportionate to what white folks receive for the same so-called crime. So, yeah, a lot of respect and just a moment of silence for what these land defenders are currently going through. So my name's Omri.
Just want to give you a shot of everybody that's here.
Before we get into the tent,
Lots of folks gathered, lots of distance between us, not crowded together, so we feel quite confident and safe. We're taking care of each other. For those that are just joining us, come on down to Callister Park. We've just had some intros. We've acknowledged the land that we're on. We're here on stolen, unceded Coast Salish territory, the Squamish, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the Musqueam peoples. And soon we will be walking into the road and taking the street, walking down to the port. As one of the speakers was explaining earlier, the Port of Vancouver is really important because it ships parts and really critical components for this pipeline to be constructed, and we need to disrupt that. Bit of singing started. Like the water, sister, voice of the great granddaughter. Thanks for the feedback. I'll try to talk a little louder with the mask on and crappy phone. This is where we're at right now, but yeah, give me that feedback as the live stream goes on so that I can make sure to talk louder. Stand up, fight back. Stand up, fight back. Can you put this in my bag for me? We've got our Peace Bears here today that are helping us keep everybody safe and orderly. So that certainly gives us some confidence. And if you're just joining us, we're here at Callister Park in East Vancouver near the Pacific Coliseum. And we're here to say no to the Trans Mountain Pipeline. We had an announcement regarding our spring campaign plans, which will be going down to Victoria and causing some disruption there. And we are practicing some chants here.
I just want to say hi and I want to say we miss you.
Oh, thanks, Al.
You're good for you, but no, your work was excellent when you were there.
Great to see you.
No.
Shut it down. Shut it down, guys. That's the power of the people. So some background on this pipeline. It used to be owned by Kinder Morgan, which is a Texan company. And in 2018, there were a lot of delays, and in part caused by civil disobedience on Burnaby Mountain. There were over 220 or 30 people that were arrested on the mountain, including the current mayor of Vancouver, Kennedy Stewart, Elizabeth May, and many, many others. And because of all of these shenanigans, and people pointing out how absurd it was to be building this pipeline on unceded territory without Indigenous consent in a climate emergency, Kinder Morgan basically bailed on the project, and they decided to sell it off and to get rid of it. And that would have been the end. It would have been the win that we were looking for, but no, the Canadian government decided to step in and actually take it off their hands at the price of $4 billion. This is for an unbuilt pipeline, of course, so they still have to spend another 12 to 15 billion to build the damn thing. And that's where we are today, with the government of Canada taking risks with our future, with salmon, with orcas, with water quality all along the route, and obviously with the downstream emissions of this unjustifiable expansion in fossil fuels that private companies are not even going to take because they know it's not worth it. Just in the last couple months, there's been several reports from the NEB and from the Parliamentary Budget Office that both basically say the same thing, that this pipeline is not going to turn a profit if Canada follows through on even its most modest climate policy commitments. And so we know that we've got the logic with us, but that isn't enough to move this corrupted government away from the entrenched interests of the fossil fuel industry. So we need to stand in the street, cause disruption, bring attention to this, ratchet up the pressure. And that's what we're doing right now as we make our way onto the street. Hopefully I'll be able to grab some folks to chat to the camera in a little while. But right now we're heading onto the street and we're gonna walk down. I will stay with the live stream as long as I can. My battery isn't the best, but let's try to stick with it. See lots of XR symbols here today, but people from all sorts of different groups and individuals. Lots of new faces here today, which is awesome. And it's not too late to join. We're walking on to Renfrew. We're going to be turning right at McGill. So come on down. If you are here in the Lower Mainland on unceded Coast Salish territory, come join us. We will be here for a while. Protect what you love. I love that sign. Because that's what this is about. It's protecting what we love, which is life as we know it here on this beautiful, sacred land that we call home. Life will always go on, we know that, but it may not be life as we know it and not as life as we love it. Sidewalk here. The other thing that we know about these fossil fuel mega projects is the danger that they pose to Indigenous communities, especially Indigenous women. The huge camps that are associated with the construction of these things are very closely connected with violence against Indigenous women, and that's been made clear in the Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women report that came out last year. And so these are projects that disregard people as well as the planet. And it's that exploitation that we need to stand against wherever we see it. We're here walking down Renfrew. We've taken the street. These are our streets to take. Got our peace bearers here keeping us safe. There's a bunch of cops here. Questionable whether they are keeping us safe, but they are here. And most importantly, we keep us safe. Every person here is responsible for themselves and for each other. So we're here, we're wearing masks, distancing, and safely saying hell no to this pipeline and to the ecocide that our Canadian government is still perpetrating through their lack of action and actual active exacerbation of the crisis that we're in. Got some banners leading the way as we turn right on McGill, which is a pretty busy truck route. Singing. Sister, I hear the voice of my great-granddaughter. The honks of support, yeah. Shut it down. Shut it down. Let's see if I can grab somebody to talk to us here. Even if it's not on camera, we'll get their voice. I do want to respect people's privacy here. We're not going to grab people that don't want to be on camera. So as you can see, we're walking down the hill on McGill, heading over to one of the entrances, the east entrance to the Port of Vancouver. And as was pointed out earlier, this port is part of the mechanism of A, business as usual in this extractivist consumer economy, and B, it actually is instrumental in getting parts shipped to the pipeline construction zones here in Burnaby on unceded Tsleil-Waututh and Cookite territory. And so this is a strategic location. And we're gonna set up shop here for the day and say hell no to business as usual. We are taking time out of our busy lives, even during a plague, to say no, business as usual can continue while these ecocidal policies are still in place. Oh, got some late arrivals. Folks are joining us here, which is awesome. You can still come on down. We'll try to get closer to the front where the chants are. Leave carbon in the soil. No more coal. No more oil. Leave the carbon in the soil. Do you guys want to talk to the live stream about why you guys are here today? I don't have to get you on camera if you don't want. No. Okay. Thanks for being here. Okay. And we can see the trees for our installation are here. We're going to be setting up a little art installation with trees. This isn't just about saying no to stuff, it's also about building the alternative society and the vision of a sustainable future that we can actually live in. So there's going to be a bit of a clothing swap here today. We're going to be doing some community activities and practice what it feels like to be in community together in a regenerative way. We're here on beautiful, unceded Coast Salish territory with the snow-capped mountains behind us. Number of police here on bikes and motorbikes behind us. Stand up, fight back. Lots of support here. There is some traffic backed up, including some trucks heading into the port. And just to be clear, we are not taking this action against particular truckers, people doing their jobs. That's not what this is about. We are very sorry to be disrupting anybody's day or anybody's livelihood. The situation has become so systemic that we don't have any other option but to disrupt our own lives and business as usual to draw attention to this. The media has simply abdicated its responsibility to cover this, and the only thing that seems to work is disruption. That's why we're here. We need to make our voices heard loud. And we're spreading out to cover some of the side lanes as well. So where folks are seeing how to position themselves. We're here at Commissioner and McGill Street. If you want to come down, we are here. Just readjusting here with how people are spread out.
Make yourself comfortable.
Yep, we are comfortable. We're gonna be here for a while, so we'll be setting up. Got our trees, got our music,
Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here.
and we made it.
Make yourselves comfortable. Get relaxed.
We made it.
Stay for a while.
Woo!
What do we want? What do we want?
No!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
Why do we want it?
No!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
Why do we want it?
Now!
If we can't get it, if we can't get it, if we can't get it.
Shut it down!
Thank you so much everyone for being here today. Takes a lot of courage.
That's right.
Make
Some
yourselves comfortable.
brave rebels here today, and we're just gonna settle in. So I think I'll close the live stream for a bit, answer some phone calls that I missed, and I will post updates throughout the day. We are here at Commissioner Street and McGill. Come on down. We are hunkering in for a while to say no to the TMX pipeline and demand that the government tell the truth, act now,
No.
and upgrade democracy so that we can have a truly sustainable politics moving forward. All right, see you soon, guys.